Chae Hockey with the blue futon. Here's another one where God, my hair is really weird today for some reason. Let's move it aside maybe. Put it right there. How's it look now? Anyway, on Netflix, it was a random South Korean anthology called Goedam. Goedam. Am I pronouncing it right? I don't know, but it's 8 episodes between 8 minutes and 15 minutes long. Should you go on this journey of anthologies? Let's find out. So Goedam, what's it about? It's kind of like what I said in the beginning of I had no idea what it was about except 8 episodes between 8 and 15 minutes per episode. That might sound weird because I just actually hit the mic. Anyway, how are these horror segments? Are any of them really horror? No. But they are interesting stories, some good gore, and it does connect in some way. When you watch it, you're like, why are we going in this order? But when you actually watch 8, you realize they somewhat connect with some of these characters of a school, like a shaman, this actual spirit, some hair, a talisman. So I'm actually going to pull up the list of episodes and maybe talk 30 seconds with each episode if I actually think they're good or not, and if I think the gore is subpar or ha. Alright, so let me get this out here. Alright, guys. Episode 1 was called Crack. And this is the one where it's, I think, one of the shorter ones with the bathroom scene, which I think is kind of cool, and with the classroom of what the actual ending is. And it is actually somewhat creepy, per se, with that one. So, number 1, it does start off with a good gore, good story, and good atmospheric things of what we're going to come on. Number 2 is Destination. So, this is a taxi one where I kind of bring this up to the Japanese tsunami one where a guy's driving and he thinks there's a fare, but is the fare real? What's happening with the eyes? And I will say that is another good gore aspect with the eyes in this one. I enjoyed this one as well. I was like, okay, we're going deep into this one and let's see where this goes, because the first 2 I did enjoy being 8 minutes to the point and I liked it. Number 3 was Special Guest. And this was a webcam one where I thought it was a little bit confusing and undermining just the audience at a point, because it does take time to get there and you're always, okay, I like that twist, but then it does something with a filter where you're like, okay, that filter is pretty cool, but you don't understand the ending of what's going on and why. So I think that one's like, oof, a little bit of downhill from the first and second one. So the third one, you're like, okay, what's next? So the fourth one is called Curiosity. Curiosity. What's this one? Oh, yes, I do. I'm going to call Curiosity more of a staircase one, where there's 2 girls need to go upstairs. It seemed like one was joking, like, oh, I tripped. I need you to get my stuff for me. And so they're kind of going into 2 dimensions now. One on the 3rd dimension, one on the 2nd dimension. And it seemed like someone came through this dimension. This one doesn't have that much gore, but there is cool elements to it about the whole staircase. I thought it was kind of fun, interesting, unique, but not a lot of explaining, so that's kind of a bummer for that one. Number 5 was Red Shoes. This one, it goes back up to being pretty dope. Yeah, because this is where you start wondering if something connects, because the first episode with the school and this 5th episode and kind of the 4th one, you're like, why is this focused on this school? And there's an accident. They talk about something in the first episode that does connect with the 5th one about an accident. And oh my gosh, what happens in this one with the red shoes? I enjoyed this one. It put a smile on my face. Like, okay, we're going back uphill now, because it's not a good gore, good story, and it was like, oh shit, we're going there kind of aspect to it. All right, number 6 was Dimensions. This one was the odd one out in my opinion. So apparently this is based on a bunch of urban legends in South Korea. And this one is, if you go in an elevator, you type in the right buttons, you're going to be put in a different dimension. Well, this one is, there's a guy on camera, he's just like, he's freaking out in an elevator, and he just gets slapped around, and all of a sudden it's like a skeleton. They're like, this guy must be dead for years. Nope, he died last night. So like, what's going on? So this cop is like, you know what? I gotta see what this is real. And what do you know? It is real. But like I said, this really doesn't connect to anything. This is a cool urban legend. It did feel like the movie Devil, the one that M. Night Shyamalan produced. I think one of the brothers that did No Escape, and Waco. I think he directed that as well. I'm really and As Above, So Below. But it was a cool story, but that was it. It didn't connect to anything. It was just kind of the odd man out. And you do kind of have those ones in the anthologies, and this one is this one. Number 7, Threshold. So this was a talisman one where a boy trips on a door thing, and all of a sudden, like they're putting talismans in the house, and the wife's like, "Don't take these talismans off," and the husband doesn't want. And it's like the husband's like, "This is stupid." When the wife leaves in child, he comes home drunk, takes the talismans off, and then something happens. This was another weird one with hair, and you're like, "What's going on?" Like it was another like really odd man out. Like if you thought Dimension was odd man out, this one's like really odd man out. And I do understand now after watching all 8 while this one's in here with the talismans with the 8 one, but it's still you're just like, I don't know how this is really connecting. But let's continue on to number 8. And number 8 is the longest of the bunch, called Birth. This one's a weird one. This one, like I said, it kind of connects with the 7 with the talismans about what this girl's doing. About she's a shaman, and she kind of tells people's fortunes of what she's seen of like, you need to get divorced now. But what she does to get these spirits into her to tell these fortunes, she kills kids. So it goes off on the wrong footing of like, oh my god, we're killing kids, and how they film it, like the first person, like the FOP of the kid in one of them, and it felt really wrong, and it was just like, I'm not getting the right vibes with that one at all. But it comes full circle about, it's a weird one because then she's reading someone's fortune, if you want to put it that way, of a woman who lost her child, and the shaman gets mad of like, you purposely like just like lost your child, or you're doing horrible stuff, and you weren't even paying attention to your child. But you're like, was that child the one that she took and killed? You can kind of get that feeling that that's the reason why. And then the second one, like I said, is a talisman with a lady trying to get a divorce, and the talisman that she gives this lady is the same one on the doors. So you don't know if that's really connecting or not. But at the very end, it's called Birth because something happens to the shaman. And you're like, oh, we're going alien aspect with this one. But overall, it starts off strong, goes downhill, goes back uphill, then it starts going back downhill with this one. So if you kind of see where I'm going with the score of this one, do I think some of them are worth the watch? Absolutely, because they're only 8 minutes of your time. But some of them, they just don't make sense. They're just in there to be in there, to have some cool effects, and that's really what it was. So, Goedam, Goedam, will receive a 3 out of 5 with Futon. I think it's at 60%. So let's see the critic scores gave this one. I kind of hesitated. It's between 50 and 60, but I think the gore and some of the stories that were really strong pushed this one's over to the positive. So let's see what the critics and user scores gave this one, even though I just said that about 30 seconds ago. So there is no critic score on Rotten Tomato at all, but on IMDb, you have a 5.7. So, itching to that positive, but according to IMDb at 57%, my 60% cheesy, I get the Blue Futon, like, comment, subscribe. Well, I don't think it's Blue Topia. You Blue Tonians, thank you for watching, have a great day. Yeah, this one was a weird one, and it was just a weird one, yeah.